Filipino fever, Alexandra Eala and the unexpected wave in Melbourne. Melbourne, it may be time to start paying closer, more serious attention to the Philippine market in tennis. What is happening with Alexandra Eala and the Philippines is a phenomenon with few points of comparison. Her three-set loss to North American Alicia Parks is almost irrelevant in this context. On day 2 of the Australian Open, thousands of Filipinos showed that they are already a significant community for tennis, one that will fill venues every time the 20-year-old steps onto the court. Eala is only the world number 49, but it would not be an exaggeration to say she is the most popular player in the draw. Tournament organizers made an unforced error by failing to grasp that reality. The Melbourne debut of Rafael Nadal's protégé was scheduled on court 6, next to the courtside bar, with very limited seating. It quickly became obvious that the match should have been placed on one of the secondary show courts, which can hold between 3,000 and 5,000 spectators. The line to get in stretched for several meters, all the way to the side of Margaret Court Arena across the venue. The massive interest Eala generates back home, in the world's 14th most populous country, and anywhere she plays, has been on full display in Melbourne, where around 50,000 people born in the Philippines live, along with many more descendants. We're very proud of her, she's making history. Now a lot of people of my country are interested in playing tennis. They're inspired by her, a young Filipino fan told Clay while watching Eala on the giant screens. She has lived in Melbourne for 6 years and had never attended the Australian Open before. This is my first time here. I came just to see her. I think a lot of Filipinos called in sick just to be here, she added with a laugh, with a small Philippine flag painted on her cheek. For Filipinos, having a professional tennis player is something entirely new. There are 115 million Filipinos and I'm the first tennis player in history. It's crazy, Eala said in an interview with Clay last September, fully aware of the impact she is having among her compatriots. As happened in New York, where she earned her first Grand Slam win, and now again in Melbourne, the sport's major capitals will have to be ready. The Filipino tennis fever is on the rise. Filipino fever, Alexandra Eala and the unexpected wave in Melbourne. The sun rose gently over Melbourne Park on a warm Australian January morning, but long before dawn's golden light graced Rod Laver Arena, something else had already taken over this sporting capital of the South Pacific. It wasn't just the promise of another Grand Slam. It wasn't merely the excitement that every Melbourne summer brings. Instead, something raw, electric and singular was swirling through the air. A fever, one that carried a name, Alexandra Eala. On January 19, 2026, history was not only in the making, it was being felt. Not as quiet reverence, nor polite applause, nor the casual curiosity of international sports fans. Instead, it manifested as a tide of noise, color, and belonging. Filipino flags snapped under the wind, voices, wearing their pride like armor, chanted in rhythmic waves, and thousands converged around Court 6 with a purpose that transcended tennis itself. This was Filipino fever in Melbourne, an unexpected yet irresistible cultural current that swept through the Australian Open and radiated far beyond its courts. A star is born, but not overnight. At barely 20 years of age, Alexandra Eala had already rewritten her country's tennis story. For a nation more accustomed to archers, boxers, and basketball giants, tennis was historically foreign soil. The Philippines had never before claimed a compatriot in the upper echelons of international women's tennis, especially not one carrying a nation's hopes and a diaspora's heart. Yet here she was, ranked world number 49 and stepping onto the Grand Slam stage in Melbourne for the first time, symbolizing a collective dream nurtured over decades. This was not just a debut, it was a rite of passage. Her ascent wasn't accidental. In the previous seasons, she had stunned the tennis world, disrupting expectations and rewriting the records with quiet confidence and courageous shots. In 2025 alone, she had defeated Grand Slam champions, reached a historic semifinal at the Miami Open, and became the first Filipino to win a match at a major with an epic 3-set battle at the US Open, sealing it in a marathon tiebreaker that became a defining moment in her country's sporting history. Such breakthroughs planted the seeds of excitement, but nothing prepared the global tennis community, or the city of Melbourne, for the groundswell of support that erupted around one player. 2. Arrival of the Filipino wave. Melbourne Park on Day 2 of the Australian Open was transformed. The official draw may have scheduled Eala's match on Court 6, a modest arena by Grand Slam standards, but the crowd didn't care. Thousands of Filipinos, both local Australian residents and international visitors, poured in, lining up for meters beyond the gates, so long that the queue stretched all the way toward Margaret Court Arena. Spectators came not just for tennis, but for an experience that felt like home away from home. Once inside, the atmosphere was nothing short of extraordinary. Flags everywhere, blue, red, white, and yellow rippled throughout the stands, marking every corner as a visible testament of national pride. Chants and cheers, from improvised cheers to rhythmic songs, the Filipino supporters created an emotional pulse that sometimes outmatched the play happening on court. Faces lit with hope, young and old, proud and humble, first-time attendees and lifelong fans who had flown halfway across the world just to see Alex. The diversity was a mosaic of affection, unity, and inspiration. A young Philippine fan living in Melbourne said it best, "I've never seen anything like this. This is my first Australian Open, and I came just to see her." For many who attended, it wasn't merely a tennis match. It was a cultural moment, a collective pilgrimage, and a powerful expression of identity. 3. The Court of Dreams and Reality. When Alex Eala stepped onto the court that day to face American Alicia Parks, a skilled athlete in her own right, the energy was palpable. The crowd cheered, screamed, clapped, and roared with every stroke Eala played, fusing silence and noise in an emotional rhythm as dynamic as the game itself. Filipino flags waved, voices rose, and even the umpire had to call for quiet as supporters chanted encouragement. She started strong, explosively strong. Eala dominated the first set, blanketing Parks with a 6-0 score that triggered wild celebration among her fans. It was a moment of collective release, thumbs up, cheers, tears, even laughter as Filipinos in the stands danced, hugged, and proudly waved their banner of red and blue in unison. Yet, sports often mirrors life, unpredictable, intense, and bittersweet. Parks, resilient and tactical, mounted a comeback, winning the second and third sets to take the match. The loss was heartbreaking, not just for Eala, but for the many who had gathered to support her. The crowd fell quiet as the final game ended. Tears were shed, hugs exchanged, and Filipino supporters lingered, paying tribute to both the effort and the emotion of the moment. But even in defeat, the impact was undeniable.